Hello and welcome to Gateway Kids with me, Bex. It's so lovely to have you join us, especially for those of you who have never tuned into one of the videos before. You are so welcome. This week we are looking at part 4 of the Moses story. So if you haven't been following us on Moses' journey, you may want to watch episodes 1, 2 and 3 so you get no spoilers. So last week, if you remember, we finished off with the plagues and God, the last one, God killing all the firstborn sons, just as he said he would. And Egypt was really upset and shaken by what had happened. So that night, late that night, the king called Moses and Aaron to him. And he said, you know what, fine, get up, take your people and just go. Just leave. You can have what you wanted, you can take the animals, you can take all that you need and just need to go. Go and worship your Lord. Take all your sheep, all your cattle and just go. Oh, and bless me as well. The Egyptians, they also asked the Israelites to hurry up and get out. The Egyptians said to the Israelites, if you don't leave now, like, we're all gonna die. So the people of Israel took their dough before the yeast was added and they went. They packed up their stuff just as God had told them to. They went to the Egyptians and they asked them for the silver and the gold and the luxurious items. And thanks to God, they got what they asked for. The Lord caused the Egyptians to think really well about the Israelites. So the Israelites left with all the rich good of the Egyptian people. So the Israelites, they started travelling and like it's a long journey. And there wasn't just about 50 Israelites, we're talking at least 600,000 men. And that's not even counting the women and the children. There were also many other people who weren't Israelites who decided to go with them. So a huge amount of people, women, men and children, along with loads of sheep and other cattle, all went on this long adventure. And the Israelites, they'd lived in Egypt for 430 years. That's a really long time. So it was a big thing that they were finally leaving Egypt. And that night when the Israelites left, God watched over them. So on this same night, Israelites had to keep watch, just as God did for them when they left Egypt. And they're to do it now to honour the Lord. So the Lord set about some rules that he told Moses and Aaron about Passover. So if we remember back to last week, God told them to prepare the meat in a certain way, to put blood on their door frames in a certain way, so that when the time had come, the death would pass over Egypt but not go into the houses. They would be passed. And God said that the whole of Israel needed to take part in this feast. The animals that they were to eat, the bones weren't to be broken, and those people who were not circumcised could not take part. So all of the Israelites did exactly what God had told them, and that was the day that they became free and left Egypt. Then the Lord said to Moses, Moses, give every firstborn male to me, whether that be animal or human. All of the firstborn men of the Israelites belong to me. And Moses reminded the people, remember this day, remember the day that God set you free from Egypt, that you walked out of Egypt. You were once slaves in that land, but the Lord and his mighty power has set you out of it. You mustn't eat bread with yeast. The Lord promised your ancestors that he's going to give you the land. And God is going to lead you to that land where there is so much food. And every month that you are there, you are to celebrate God and what he has done for you. And on the day that you have the feast, you should tell your son, we are having this feast because of what God done for me when he brought me out of Egypt. This feast will help you remember. It will be like a mark on your hand. It will be like a reminder on your forehead. This feast will help you to remember to speak the Lord's teachings. He brought us out of Egypt. We were slaves in that land, The king was so stubborn, he wouldn't let us go. But the Lord killed every firstborn male in Egypt, both human and animal. That is why we sacrifice every firstborn male to the Lord. So God didn't tell the Israelites to go through the Philistine country, just because he thought that the Israelites may think that they were going to go to war, although the Israelites were dressed for fighting when they left Egypt. God thought that the Israelites, out of fear of thinking they have to fight, would instead turn and run back to Egypt, and he didn't want to risk that happening. So instead he took them on a bit of a long way round. God led them through the desert towards the Red Sea, and Moses carried with him the bones of Joseph. If you remember, quite a while back now, we looked at Joseph, and before Joseph died, he made the sons of Israel make him a promise that when they were to be set free from Egypt, they would carry his bones with them. So the people of Israel, they left and they decided to go and camp at Elim. And Elim was on the edge of the desert. The Lord showed the Israelites the way that they should go. During the day, the Lord went before them in a pillar of cloud, and in the night the Lord was a pillar of fire. This meant that the Israelites could travel at the day or night. It didn't matter. God was with them and led the way in front of them all the time. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Get the Israelites to turn round. Tell them to turn back to Pi Hahiroth. Tell them to camp between Migdol and the Red Sea. This is near Baal Zephon. The king will think, oh, them Israelites are lost, trapped by the desert. I will make the king stubborn again," said the Lord. "So he will want to chase after the Israelites. But I will defeat the king and his army. This will bring honour to me. Then the people of Egypt will know that I am the Lord." So the people of Israel did just as God had told them to. The king of Egypt was in his palace and he was told that the Israelites had already left. Then, when he was talking with his officers, they changed their mind. "After them!" yelled the king. "What have we done? We have let our slaves go. We need them back here now. After them!" So the king prepared his war chariots, and he took 600 of his very, very best chariots and all the other chariots that he could find in Egypt. And on each chariot was a soldier. Just as he said he would, the Lord made the king of Egypt stubborn. So the king went and raced after the Israelites. So the king and his army all raced to find them on their chariots. They caught up with the Israelites just as they were camped by the Red Sea. The Israelites saw the king and his armies coming towards them, and they started getting scared. They were so frightened, they started shouting to God for help. And they turned to Moses and they said, "What have you done to us? Why did you bring us out of Egypt for us to die in the desert? There were plenty of graves for us in Egypt. We told you in Egypt, leave us alone. Let us stay and serve the Egyptians. Now, we're going to die in the desert." But Moses answered, "Do not be afraid. Stand still and see the Lord save you today. You will never see the Egyptians again after today. You will only need to remain calm. The Lord will fight for you." Then the Lord said to Moses, "Why are you crying out to me? Command the people of Israel to start moving. Raise your walking stick and hold it over the sea. The sea will split. Then the people can cross the sea onto the dry land. I have made the Egyptians stubborn, so they're going to keep chasing the Israelites. But I, the Lord God, will be honoured when I defeat the king and all of his chariots and armies. Then Egypt will know that I am Lord." Now, as I said before, The angel of God, when the Israelites were moving about, used to travel in front of them. So in the daytime, it was a pillar of cloud in front of them. And at night, it was a pillar of fire in front of them. But as the Israelites were moving, the pillar of God moved to behind the Israelites. The pillar of cloud moved from in front of the Israelites to the very back. So the cloud came in between the Egyptians and the Israelites. The cloud made it really dark for the Egyptians, so they couldn't see what was going on. But it gave light to the Israelites, so they could see where they were going. So all night, the cloud kept the two apart. Moses held his hand over the sea. All that night, the Lord drove back the sea with a strong east wind. And so, where the sea was, he made dry ground. The water had split, just as God had instructed and told Moses that it would. The Israelites walked through the sea. On both sides there were high walls of water, and they followed the dry path. Then all of the king's horses and chariots followed the Israelites into the sea. Between 2 and 6 o'clock in the morning, the Lord looked down from the pillar of cloud and of fire at the Egyptian army. He made them panic. The Lord stopped the wheels of the chariots from turning. This made it so hard to drive the chariots. The Egyptians shouted, "Quick, let's get away! Let's get away from the Israelites! The Lord is fighting for them! He's against us!" Then the Lord told Moses, "Hold your hand over the sea. Then the water will come back over the dry land. It will come over the Egyptians and all of their chariots." So Moses did what God told him, and he raised his hands over the sea, and at dawn the water became deep again. The Egyptians tried to run and get away, but they all drowned and were pushed out by the waves. The Lord swept all the Egyptians out into the sea, and the water was covered in chariots and dead Egyptians. Not one of the chariots or the army or even the king survived. But the people of Israel all happily crossed the Red Sea. So that day the Lord saved the Israelites from the Egyptians, and the Israelites saw the Egyptians all dead along the shoreline. When the people of Israel saw God's amazing power, they were in awe. And once they saw the Lord's mighty power, they feared him, and they trusted the Lord and his servant Moses. So the past 4 weeks, we have looked at the story of Moses. Moses was a great man who followed God's plan. Even when he didn't feel good enough, even when he couldn't see a way out, even when people were angry at him, he still trusted God. And God used Moses to save his people, the Israelites. Now that is only still a snippet of the life of Moses. There is more. Now to help us remember what God did by letting the Israelites out of Egypt through the Red Sea, I've got a craft you can do at home. So for this, you will need some paper, some paints or colouring pencils, and maybe a Lego figure or Barbie or Playmobil, whatever action figures or play figures you have. So you're going to start off with a piece of paper. I've already done mine. So what you need to do is fold in the two sides like so. So that is the back. And you need to paint it like the Red Sea, so a nice ocean colour. So get all your blues in there. You can either use pencils or paints, or if you've got tissue paper and glue, whatever tickles your fancy. And then what you need to do is open them up. So here we have got the sea still, the parting of the Red Sea, and here we have got the dry land. So I've used a nice brown for the dry land, and again I've put the sea on either side. You might want to be creative, you might want to put some little fishies in there. I just left mine plain. And then what I encourage you to do is, once you've made this, is retell one of your family members, whether that's in the flesh in your home or over Zoom, could be a friend as well, the story of the Israelites being set free from Egypt. So I thought you could just make the people out of paper, but I thought it might be quite fun if you've got Lego or things like that, or Polly Pockets, you could reenact what happened, and you could use the figures on your parting of the Red Sea. Well, that has been a really exciting 4-part series on the life of Moses. Join me next week for the last video before the summer. I've got a few challenges and a few exciting things for you to do by yourself or with your families over the next few weeks. So have a wonderful week. Hopefully the weather will be super nice. We'll have to see on that one. But look after yourselves, stay safe, and I'll see you soon.